Hello and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to this session of Inspiring Conversations, where we are going to be talking about how to prevent burnout. And since my guest has not arrived, I will be speaking to you about why we are doing this and why are we doing inspiring conversation. Well, that is because when we get inspired, we see how people can influence us, and we tend to think about things differently when we maybe listen to some good conversation. We rest with things that people say, and however we do, how we process these things. So this will be hopefully exciting conversation, and I hope that my guest Madhurima Sappatti will join us in a bit. She is far, far away from me, and we will talk about that later, hopefully. So, but welcome to this chat, and I hope that you are all in a good mood because I am having the time of my life, uh, talking to people and doing what I love. And this is the best way that I can see or feel how I can have an impact in these troubled times that we are experiencing, where we are talking about loneliness epidemic, we are talking about, um, we are talking about burnout, we are talking about low engagement in work, and at work, and engagement is going down. Uh, Hello to you in India, Aishwa. Oh, speaking of which, my name is difficult, but I am so like it's so difficult sometimes to see when Aishwarya. Like it's just I'm sorry if I offend you, but but welcome. It's lovely to have you from all over the world, and I have had like it has been such a fun time knowing that people are watching wherever, and it's just how we can prevent and help people. That's just if we can help people at some point, so that's a good thing. So now we only have to figure out the way to find Maturima. If she is there, and then she should hopefully be joining us in a heartbeat. Sometimes technology is it's bad, isn't it? Sometimes we have to it's complicated sometimes. We think we know it all, but hey, I have I have sometimes also problems with it. Well, thank you. I am happy that I didn't ruin your name. So that is at least that is the positive thing of today. I have learned to say Aishwarya Yaya Kumar. So that's good. So if anybody is out there want to say something, bring in. Do you have experience? Have you been uh, unlucky enough to have you experienced burnout? Have you gotten like this horrible, horrible experience? I have tried and it was really bad. You don't know what is happening you know that something is happening. You feel like you are uh, beside yourself. You don't understand why you are beside yourself. Uh, I remember when I was in that state that I went to see a lecture, and the man who was giving the lecture, I called him Dr. Stress. He was our main man in the stress business. And when he was talking about, he had, there was this female former Miss Iceland 1991, I think. But how can you be former beauty queen? She's beautiful today as well. And they were talking about a woman who was going to get herself a glass of water and poured water in a glass, and then she opened the trash bin, and dumped the water in the trash bin. So, and I was just like thinking, oh my God, this is something that I have experienced. And it's weird when you realize that there is something, and you get a name to it. And but then again, when you say that you have experienced burnout, maybe the older generation, they say, there's nothing wrong with you. But so we have to be careful, because we don't want to diminish or to make the experience of which people have, because this we are talking about a real serious issue. And if you tell people that there is nothing called burnout, then you are getting in the way of people seeking help. And that is what it is. You have to seek help, because if you don't seek help, then the problem gets worse, and you never know what will happen, because this is just bad, bad thing. So my guest is not here, as you can gather. So I just have to ramble on. If there is anybody out there who has some experience with this issue and want to give a shout out in the chat, then please do, so we can just talk about that. I want to point out that Madhurima has this website called madhurimasappatti.com, and she has been working in this field for a long time. So now we just need to wait a couple of seconds, and then she probably will be here. I think maybe she has technical difficulties, because the internet sometimes can be tricky, and we just have to relax. So I think that we are going to, maybe I could play the song again. The song is by Klaki. I think I will just put it on, and hopefully you can hear it. So, this is the music by Klaki, Icelandic composer. Really good stuff. So, I have heard from Madhurima, and do you know what? It's the time thing. So, I know that she is, what, 6, 7, 8 hours ahead of GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. So, this is just the most awkward thing I have ever been. But hey, life goes on, and this can only go into the bank of experience to A, be excise about the time, and but this will not break you because you, as we say, you live and learn. You learn and live. So this is no problem for us. So this is technology, the time, and the worst thing is that when you are talking to people in the US, they don't change the summertime, for example, at the same time as people in Europe. So that is also causing trouble. So this is life. Life is happening in, as we say. So this is fun. So but I gather that she is taking her time to get her into positions because she has to connect and she has to do a little bit of everything. So, but the thing is that we are going to talk about how we can prevent burnout. And I'm looking forward to talking to Madhurima because Madhurima, because she knows what she's talking about. And hopefully she will give us some great things, give us something to work with, and maybe some things, real experiences from life, so we can talk about it and stuff. Or else we just have to yes. So Aishwarya, life is life, and that is absolutely correct. We can't. We just live, and we just learn, and we just have a blast. So this is nothing to be alarmed about, but we just wait for Maturima to show up, and then all of a sudden, when she shows up, then we will start talking, and that's how life is. But if there are somebody out there who have experienced burnout and want to give some snippets from their experience, that would be great. You can participate on hands-on coaching LinkedIn page, and I can show the sentences if you want. And people, do you know what's happening? Do you know what's happening? Yay!
Hello. We made
Hello.
it. Hello.
Yes.
How are you
Why?
all doing? Oh my
How?
gosh.
How could we do, like, what happened to the time?
I have zero idea. It was on my calendar for 45 minutes from now, and I was literally hyping myself up to be here. But I wasn't on LinkedIn because I was on a different call. I just got out of a client call and I saw your message and I was like, oh my god, what is happening? And rushed onto here as soon as I could. Oh my
Well,
gosh.
I have been winging it with the help from I will say her name because I have been practicing. Aishwarya. Aishwarya.
You got it. That sounds amazing. Hi, Aishwarya. Thank you so
because
much for keeping Hayden company today
oh yes,
while I was rushing around.
but I forgot to mention that my name is Hedin, so she
Yes,
can practice on that.
let's go.
Because I
Uh,
was talking about that. Okay, my name is difficult, but sometimes you guys, you are just oof, Madhurima,
Brilliant.
Sappatti.
Br-
So
Sappatti, yeah.
and and you are green, green and
Yes.
gorgeous today. What's
Thank you so
happening?
much. I try. I This was the first shirt I found. I'm literally
So,
telling you, I rushed out of the client call, pulled on the first shirt I found. I was like, "Let's go," and then I realized, oh, I have green headphones on. Let's go. I guess it all aligns. But I am
brill,
so excited for this conversation today.
brilliant. So I have been talking about and telling people that I have some experience in experiencing, like I have experiencing burnout and how that
Hmm.
affected me and how I was beside myself. I didn't feel like myself. There was something off, but I didn't quite get it because as I was growing up, there was never something wrong with you.
Hmm.
You are supposed to like work and you had to be almost dying to stay home. The fever had to be very, very high without going to school and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, but we are going to talk about how we prevent burnout.
Yes.
And you have this probably great knowledge about the subject, and you will maybe give us some strategies for
Absolutely.
for these things. And but of course, we have to start with who is Madhurima and why is Madhurima a global stress management facilitator and green? No, we know why you're green.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm excited. Alrighty. Hayden knows me. Aishwarya, you probably know me, but I am a global stress management facilitator. I am Madhurima Sappatti. My name goes like a wave, so it's easy to pronounce. It goes Madhurima, and I am someone who loves to support multi-passionate, ambitious dreamers in managing their stress and preventing burnout. And I'm on a mission to make stress management fun, because why not? I think a lot of people assume that stress management is going to be this really heavy and deep and dark thing that takes time away from personal and professional lives, which I get as someone who has been stressed out and been through two major burnouts, and once had a doctor tell me that, Madhurima, the best way to manage your stress, don't get stressed out. Thank you so much. I am so glad you exist. I'm so glad I paid you money for this advice. I hope you're hearing angels sing in the background, because what am I supposed to do with this? And so, understandably, stress management as a concept can be very overwhelming and annoying and terrifying, which is exactly why I was like, I'm gonna make it fun. I'm gonna make it something that people look forward to. It's not something on your to-do list. It's not something that you have to push yourself to do. It is something that you look forward to. It integrates seamlessly into our life, and that is the work that I do. That is the reason why I'm here, because I've been through it. It sucks, and I just say that burnout sucks. And I was like, you know what, it needs to stop existing, or like even if it does exist, I hope to prevent people to reach the burnout point, because at the end of the day, burnout is nothing but improper stress management over a long duration of time. So if you manage your stress regularly and do it properly, you do not burn out. And I wanted to stop people from reaching that stage, the final stage, if you will.
But we like, how can it be that we both are only 29 years old and you have been burned out twice?
Yes.
Go like, how is that possible? You don't look like that you're older than 29. Wink,
No,
wink.
I'm not. I'm 28. Yeah. I'll turn 29 this year, but yes, I am not gonna be older than 29 for a really long time. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
I feel that I think the ways that I experienced burnout as well was very annoying, because both the times I had zero clue I was burning out. The first time happened when I was a student and I was preparing for medicine here in India, where it gets extremely competitive to the point where, you know, by losing out on a couple of marks, you go back thousands of kids, and it gets that competitive. And so I had taken a drop year and I experienced burnout, but I didn't know I was burning out. Like, literally every other student around me was in a similar mind space of constant panic and constant stress, that we didn't realize that this was not the norm. Like, this is not supposed to be something that people go through, where you sit down in front of a computer to write your exam and you are sweating buckets. I didn't know that is something that, is not, once again, normal. um, the second time that I burnt out was when I was working in a organization as a copywriter, and I was it was an advertising firm, very small firm. Like, I was one of three employees, and we were handling a lot of clients at that point in time. And you can understand, like, I kind of come from a similar mind space of workaholism, and romanticizing workaholism, where it's like, ooh, I'm gonna be, this boss ass lady, getting up, doing work all day long, and earning money, and making a name for myself in the world. All amazing things, but also things that kind of did not have structure around it. I feel like it's really important to know that structure is extremely crucial when conversations happen around ambition, because ambition is not bad, but not knowing where to pull yourself back to push yourself forward is something that can often lead to stress. But it wasn't even about me, it was a lot around the organization. It was a very toxic workplace, and extremely poor work life boundaries, and just a toxic work culture, to the point where I was working into the night for US clients, and then I was working from early in the morning for Indian clients. And I was told that some aspects of my job were a part of my job requirement when I hadn't even heard it before. And it would usually happen after a client yelled at my boss, and then the boss yelled at me. And I was like, when did you tell me that I had to do this? Like, there was never a conversation. And so, once again, burnt out, and I had zero idea I was burning out, and it was a really bad time for me in my life, because at that point in time I was the sole breadwinner of the family, and I couldn't afford to, quit the job, quit the sole source of income at that point in time. But I knew that I was doing this for my family and for myself, but mostly for my family. But burnout is such a drastic thing. The more you push through burnout, I feel like burnout, personally for me, is like the last defense mechanism of our body that stops us, because it's like, you are not dealing with stress, and so we're going to stop you to ensure that we can deal with stress and get back to normal. But oftentimes when we are burnt out, we push through, and by pushing through we extend the burnout, and it can often lead to a lot of emotional and mental and physical damages that can go on for a really long time. For me, the thing that really shocked me was I was very snappy and irritatable. Like, my family would ask me, how are you doing, have you had lunch today, have you had a moment to take a breath today? And I would be like, how can you ask me this, and blah blah blah, and I would like burst out at them. And it was extremely shocking when I realized that I was doing this, because I wasn't even aware I was doing it. I was just
Mm.
bursting off at them, right? And then when I realized, it was such a shocking moment, because it was the exact opposite of my personality, where I love being able to take care of people. I love being able to have conversations and hold space and care for people, and you know be this bubbly cheerful person. But I was anything but that during those moments. And so,
But how is it? Because you can see the comment underneath us that medical schools in the U.S. are likewise, like, they are seeing first and second year students exhibiting signs of professional burnout.
yes.
How was it for you when, like, I remember exactly the same thing as you. uh, uh, there was this one time on a Monday, a person called me after lunch. So, hi, have you done the thing we talked about this morning? And I was like, what? When did we meet? When did we meet? Yeah, I came to you. And I was just like, no, you did not. And that was something, it felt horrible. Like how were you when you were, it's not something that you can say out loud. Like, did you literally go to your parents or say like there's something wrong? Like, because the tiredness.
Mm.
I
Oh.
don't know if I snapped at people, but I was more like I didn't have a clue what was going on. And
Mm.
I couldn't sleep at night. There
Yeah.
was the thoughts were just like here and there and there, blah, blah, blah,
Mm.
and anxiety and stuff.
Mm.
So when you realized, how did you feel talking about it? Like telling people, well, I'm burnt out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for me, that's a very good question. And I'm once again so sorry that you experienced this. And for whoever commented, I absolutely hear you. I think students go through a lot of burnout, especially college students who are just getting out of college, or even, at the very precipice of getting from puberty to adulthood. There are so many things that are changing that it can be very overwhelming. And it is often something that, while understood, mostly it is not something that is discussed. Like, how do we support someone who's going through something like this, right? That is not something that is often talked about, which I think is something that needs to change. um, and there is so many conversations happening, there's so much research happening about how college students are experiencing so much burnout in this day and age, and they're pushing themselves to the limits and beyond because they're not able to concentrate, and literally stuffing themselves, or you know different kinds of drugs to ensure that they stay focused. And it's a whole another conversation, but I think while the awareness is there, we need to start taking more action to support, because these are the people who are going to be the next generation. These are the people who are going to help change the world and shift the world and shape the world, and we need to be able to support them however we can in this journey. So yeah, that is one thing that I wanted to add. But yeah, to your question, Hayden, it was actually my mom who sat me down. She was the one who was like, you are, I know you're doing so much for us right now, but this is not you. What's happening? And when she asked me that question, things really clicked for me and shifted for me, because I was like, that's right. This is not me, like, I was like you, extremely exhausted, extremely tired, pushing myself to the brink and beyond. And yeah, it was very chaotic, but thankfully she sat me down, and she was the one who forced me to quit my job. She was like, I don't care, if this is the sole income we're getting into the house, but I do not want you to be working in this place anymore. um, Unfortunately, at that time, once again, I did not know I was burning out, because this is in 2019. Burnout was not as hyped up of a term as it is right now. So I just thought I was losing my head, and I was like, sucks to be me, I guess, because I didn't know what else I could do at that point in time. Like I said, like I used to get a bunch of weird advices, like the one I shared at the very start, where it's like, don't get stressed. I was like, thank you so much. This is useless. What do I do with this information? Like, I can't integrate it into my life in any way. But yeah.
But how is it? Because you in India,
Hmm.
you are a little bit more than we. Like we are 390,000 people. So you must be what, 100 times more or something? Like how? Because and then you also have the social layer. Like you
Mm.
have the rich who are extremely rich, and then you have the rich, and then you have the middle class, which is okay, and then you have the lower middle class, and then like how is it in a country like India to go around and talk about burnout, because it must be difficult, because you are not there are, when you think about India, there are so many people who are unfortunate that they are not born into the right surroundings, and they can't afford to say, "Oh, I'm burnt out." Like, how are you dealing with this? Like, because, or are you working domestic, or are you like doing
Yeah.
all over the place?
Yeah, so I'm actually working globally. I work globally, mostly in US and in Canada, and now I'm kind of getting into the Europe markets. But in India, I would say that we the conversations are starting, the information is being shared, the awareness is starting, and that is usually the first point. I think for a really long time there were not a lot of conversations happening about the importance of burnout, the importance of managing stress, because we were pretty much like any other Western country where burnout was a badge of honor and stress is something that everyone goes through. So, like, this is not something to be talked about or to be worked upon. Thankfully, things are shifting. Thankfully, people are talking, and we are starting to see the shift in terms of having conversations, reaching out for support around this. And yeah, it's one step at a time, I would say. Thankfully, to kind of balance out the awareness of understanding stress and burnout, we have the availability of internet. Like, everyone, no matter where they're coming in from at this point in time, are connected to the internet, and they can reach out for support, they can look out for support and receive that support in their own languages, in their own, in ways that makes it easy for them to integrate. Once again, stress and burnout, the conversation revolves around managing stress properly. Like, the best way to prevent burnout is to manage stress properly, and the best way to manage stress is to find out strategies that work for you, that you can utilize in your day-to-day life. Once people understand that, once they find their few golden ways to manage their stress regularly, no matter where they're coming in from, they can learn to utilize these strategies to shift their life and shape their life to align with their strategies. You do not have to spend all your day chained to a desk to make money. That is no longer a necessity in this global digital era that we are in. And so, having an understanding of energy management can help you manage your time better, and can help you shift and move and evolve, and create a better work life balance, have conversations around that. And so I would say that while things are shifting, it's slow but it's steady, and that's the most we can ask for at this point in time. Is like, while it is slow, it is also steady. It is not a conversation that's happening sporadically. Like, it's not happening once here and then never again, and then maybe some kind of headline comes into being, and then again people are talking about it. It is something that people are having conversations around regularly, and that's the most we can ask for as a starting point.
But when, like, the first step of
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge that you are burnt out, that
Mm-hmm.
that there are something wrong, and you have to get help.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing is, well, it must be linked to the stress and anxiety that you have to get money
Mm-hmm.
to live, and you have
Yeah.
to support your family and stuff. And luckily, like in my country, we have the social security net. Like, we have a system that takes care of us if this happens. I'm thinking about the US, where they, like, if you don't have insurance, and the UK, and, like, I don't know how it is by you, but these things also make it difficult to admit that you are having problems.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, for me, it was okay, I was secure, but I started to drink more, and I was the like I was every weekend I was like, "Woo, woo, woo, woo." It was just, it was so not me.
Mm.
But I had the security of, getting money every week, and I did my stuff at work and that.
Yeah.
But if, like in your neck of the woods and maybe in the US, how you how you can, because it is a spiral. Because if you can't feed your family, and then you can't like, and the thoughts start growing and growing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and anxiety, and
Hmm.
then you have to take pills or well, whatnot. Like we are
Yeah.
pill eating uh, people. So how is it? What is it that you, when you talk to people, because I was mentioning your website, and you have
Hmm.
loads of stuff on your website. You have blog, you have video, you have courses and whatever. Take me through like what you do, how
Yeah.
you, like if people get in contact with you,
Hmm.
what is it that you go through in the beginning, and then how do you like,
Yeah.
over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I love your question, Hayden, because I think that is a conversation that a lot of people have. But I would love to kind of stress on this, a pun intended, on the fact that if you are burnt out and you're not in a position to quit your company, quit your job, don't. The conversation, we can create strategies where it doesn't take too much time from your day. Like, I have a few strategies that I use on a daily basis that take no more than 3 minutes, right? Like, I have a strategy, like, just FYI, like, one of the things that I do is I make sure that when I go to bed, I am not stressed out when I'm going to bed. Like, I ensure that, if I've been feeling stressed out all day long, or even if I haven't been feeling stressed out, stress does creep in from different points without us noticing. So every night I practice a strategy, which is I go outside into my balcony. If you have like a more open space where you can ground yourself better, you can do that. But I live in an apartment, and so I just go out into my balcony where we have a few plants. I put on my headphones and I play a really slow song, something that you can just relax into and breathe into, not something that's like really hyper, but something that makes you feel really calm and collected. And I just listen to it and I just sway softly. And so that just means, like, I'm holding myself and I'm just moving left to right very slowly, just in tune with the music, and just taking deep breaths. And that's just for a duration of a song, right? That can be 3 minutes, 5 minutes long. But what I am doing is, while the strategy might look like, Madhurima, what are you doing? Like, this is all hippie stuff.
Well, I have
It's,
a picture. I have this drawing.
yeah,
Like when you lay down in
yeah,
bed at night, then this is like the brain goes, and you have to teach yourself to say, never mind, I will think about it tomorrow.
yeah.
So this, when I saw this picture, I was just, this is what happens
Hmm.
when you're stressed,
Yeah, but at the
because you're
same time,
thinking.
yeah, but
Sorry.
you know what?
Yeah.
At the same time, I would absolutely say that if that is what your brain looks like, instead of saying never mind, my invitation would be to sit down and just look at it. It's kind of like, an example that I can give you guys is, um, it's like a child yelling for attention, and the more you ignore it, the louder it is going to get. And irrespective of how much you shout at the child to stop shouting, it is not going to. At that point in time, instead, if you just settle down and give it the space to listen to it, the child is going to shout and shout and shout, and eventually it will calm down when it realizes that you're listening. You're actually actively listening to what it has to say, and you're giving them the space to speak. Eventually it quietens down. Eventually the things that the child has to say quietens down. And so instead of fighting, just listening, just allowing ourselves to empty out whatever is in our brain can also help a lot. Can also just help us relax, instead of putting up this front of like, "Okay," allowing ourselves to listen can be such a huge game changer. And Yeah, again, when I am doing that in the middle of the night, when I'm dancing like a crazy person, irrespective of what my neighbors think, these are all tactics that make sense because by swaying and by allowing myself to relax, lowering down my shoulders, unclenching my jaw, relaxing my head, and just listening to music and swaying to music and grounding myself, what I'm essentially doing is resetting my vagus nervous system. I am allowing my body to let it know that, hey, it's safe. We're safe. You can let go. And by doing that, I automatically lower down my barriers. And at a time like that, if your brain is shouting, like, no, how can you be like this? Like, there are so many things to worry about. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, what are they? And your brain goes, oh, we have to make money and we have to make sure that we have this and we have to do this and we have to do that. Okay, I'm listening. Tell me more. Oh, okay, so we have so many things to take care of. Okay, that's understandable. Do you want to sit down and plan it out? Sure. And then that that enters into a space of journaling, and that enters into a space of exploring what is happening, and it enters into a realm of we are not fighting. So me and my brain and my soul and my heart is not fighting each other. This is a joint effort. We are here to make waves, and in a good way. We are here to shift the world and change the world. And in doing that, we can do so by working together as opposed to fighting each other. So yeah, I would absolutely say that.
Yeah, no, I think they also say that I like the music idea, but they also say that you can, grab a pen and a paper and just write, yeah, I will do that tomorrow, or
Mhm.
I need to do this tomorrow. Like, so you get some quiet. Well, and we talk about here in Iceland because we love reading, or we loved reading because, and then you have a good book by your bedside, and then you calm also your because all the stress around you, the social media, things that are happening in the world. I talk to people about, like, if you're stressed, don't watch the news because there are and the odd thing is that the news outlets, they are full of negative stuff,
Mm.
and there is so much capacity that your brain can take in, and you just have to take
Yeah,
a month off news,
yeah,
take like do something, because there are so many things that we have to look into, um, because we control it.
yeah,
we
absolutely.
we don't have to watch Sky News, BBC News, CPN, watch,
Yeah.
we can decide, okay, I'm only going to watch the news at
Hmm.
8 o'clock or whenever they are. And
Honestly, I don't even watch news anymore.
no, yeah, and,
Nada.
and that's
Haven't been
yeah,
since the pandemic started. I've been like, I don't need to know anything right now. I mean,
yeah,
not ignorance is bliss, but more like I know that it is going to stress me out, and a lot of times I can't really do much about it in the given position that I am in right now. So it's looking at the headlines from time to time and being like, okay, can I do anything to support here? But I don't watch the news anymore. Yeah, I'm really excited to look into this
yes.
question.
So let's go into this question. So LinkedIn user asks, is there any research on whether there's time delay with burnout?
Hmm.
We tend to talk about it like something that we experience immediately in response to stressors.
Hmm.
But is that accurate, or do burnout symptoms emerge after an incubation period? And
Yes.
for me, like,
Mhm.
it was gradually.
Yeah, it always is gradually. It is never
Yeah.
going to be instant. Once again, burnout is kind of understood as it is improper stress management over a long duration of time. Now I can't give you the duration of time because it differs from person to person,
Uh,
but it is never I am stressed out today for the first time and I'm burnt out by the end of the night. It is stress that has been piling up. So I think a good example that I used to give to a lot of my clients was, imagine it as being this rock, at the beach near an ocean or near a river, it is a really sharp rock. However, with time, because of the waves, the water will kind of like, mold it and soften it up until it's a smooth and shiny rock. It doesn't happen instantly. It doesn't happen like the moment you place the rock on the beach, it's going to get from sharp to smooth. It takes a lot of time. And so that is one of the most important conversations, is that burnout is not instant. It is something that takes time. And I this is not something that is researched. I wouldn't say this is something that is researched, but personally I believe that it is once again the last defense mechanism of our body, where the thing to understand is when we are stressed, our body steps into the stress response of fight, flight, freeze, right? It's trying to ensure that we survive whatever dangerous situation we have. And a lot of times it is not a dangerous situation, especially in this day and age, but our body responds to it like it is. However, our body also has ways to get out of the stress response. Unfortunately, we are living in an era where we are getting stressed from multiple points, right? It's no longer, oh my gosh, a wolf is chasing me, or I have to fight the tribes that are attacking our tribe tonight. And it's not a one and done situation. We are experiencing stress from different areas of our life, so our body doesn't get the opportunity to get out of the stress response. Or even if it does, it doesn't get out of it completely, because just as it is coming out, another thing happens and we're like, oh my god, how are you gonna deal with
Mm.
this, right? And over time, because our body doesn't get out of the stress response completely, it leads to burnout, where our body is like, you need to stop, you need to pause, so that we can get our body back to normal. And so personally I believe like it is a defense strategy. However, I can understand how people have different opinions and thought processes around it. But I would say that yes, there is a time delay. To your question, there is a time delay. It doesn't happen immediately. And even if you do get into burnout, it is not the end of the world. You can get out of it. I have gotten out of it twice. You can get out of it. It takes a really long time to get out of it. It took me 2.5 years to get out
Mm.
of it properly, and there are still days when I'm going, oh my god, that was so stressful, and having the after effects of burnout. But once again, I would invite people who are listening to this conversation or watching this conversation right now not to wait for burnout to hit, because it is one of the worst experiences you can ever go through. You are going to be constantly exhausted. You're going to hate how you view the world and how everyone's interacting with each other, and you're going to hate yourself, and you won't have any motivation to do things, and it is just a very negative space to be in. So avoid getting into burnout. Try to manage your stress as the stress comes in. Allow your body, if you have had a particularly stressful experience, give yourself the time to get out of said stressful experience. Like an example of that would be my dog randomly started puking today, and she felt better after like 15 minutes, but that was a very stressful thing for me, because anytime anything health related happens, I go you know immediate stress response. And so I spent literally 2 hours trying to take care of myself by trying to bring myself down, calm myself, take a long shower to ensure that I am giving myself the opportunity to relax, and then spending time with my family. As the stress comes, so you deal with it. Don't keep it off for another day. Have strategies, whatever that looks like for you. And I would invite you to get in touch with me if you want to explore that a bit more, or even get in touch with any other stress coach if you don't like my vibe, which is absolutely understandable. I mean, I don't know why it's understandable, but if you don't like my vibe and energy, reach
But
out to
you're so
someone.
green. You're
I
so
know.
green. I like you. Yeah.
I know. But yes, reach out to someone. It
but
doesn't
but
matter if
I
it's
I
male or
see
female. But yeah.
because of this question, what I immediately thought about, and I loved your beach stone analogy, because I just see it as like if you have a snowball,
Mm,
and then the snowball starts rolling and it's get bigger and bigger, and then maybe it stops being like it's this big,
mm,
and then for a period of time that gets to be the norm
mm,
in your day-to-day life, and then it starts rolling again and getting bigger and stuff. And when, like, because what I realized was that I had to train, I had to go to
Mm.
the gym, I have to, like, you have only one body, so you have to sleep well, train, exercise, uh, food. Yes, I love food, so that's a little bit.
Same.
And but there are those things that you have to, like, you don't have to watch TV. You can wait to watch the new series of blah blah blah. Like, we have a pro, like, after 10 o'clock in the evening, we maybe like see the late news just to see the sports, or I do, and then you go to bed and then you can
Yeah.
read, or like, and then, because once upon a time I could go with 5 hours of sleep, but that was when I was very young, much younger than today. Like, I'm 29. Wink, wink. Oh, I have been 29 since 2002. Don't I look like it?
Ayo, you do. You absolutely do.
But now I can feel that I need more sleep, and I
Mm.
need the 7 or 8 hours, and I
Yep.
have to. And I'm thankful for my wife, because she had to make a scheme, like when she takes, like when she had to relax and when she has to do this and that. So it's also to allow yourself. You don't have to be there because something is happening over there. You don't have to. What is it, like the ambulance chaser? Why
Mm.
do you have to go and see what is happening?
Mm. Yeah.
But how is it? Do you experience? It must be. It doesn't matter if you're from the US or from India or from Saudi Arabia or wherever. All the clients that you have,
Mm-hmm.
the symptoms must
Mm.
be the same. When you talk to people, you say, well, yeah, you're just like everybody else in the world.
No, you know what? That's a very good question, but I would absolutely say that it is very different for every individual. Like,
Of
and
course.
that is absolutely one of the signs. Like, one of the things that I do with my clients is often ask them, "What are the signs of stress that you experience?" And they go, "Huh? What do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean I experience signs that I might be going through stress?" And I'm like, your body gives you signs that you are going through stress. What does that look like? And they're often like looking back at me with a very blank expression, like, I don't know what you mean.
Mhm.
But the thing is, once you start exploring that, once you start understanding that, you realize that your body does give you signs, and it gives you the signs every single time. So for example, if I wasn't even aware that something stressful happened, but if I suddenly start like going or my heart is beating really fast, or I feel like, I'm on the edge of my seat, or I'm constantly shaking my hands and legs for some reason, it's a great opportunity for me to take a step back and go, is something stressing me out right now? Like, did something happen that I didn't even register is stressing me out, but is stressing me out right now? And so those signs look very unique to every individual. Like, some examples that I can give, because we are on this conversation about preventing burnout, is looking at emotional signs. Emotional signs can look like anger, irritation, or fear, or being in the space of, like, I don't care about what's happening. So you're constantly like fighting someone. That can be a good sign that you might be going through stress. And once again, these are just examples. You might experience stress completely differently. And so if you do go through some of these signs that I'm going to mention right now, know that if your signs don't match these signs, it's completely all right, but it is a great point to start exploring what it looks like for you. But if they match, that's amazing. Look at what else happens when you are experiencing stress. um, the physical signs would be, you feel like you're on the edge, you feel like, or the psychological signs could be that you are kind of in the space of confusion, and like there's low self-esteem. You feel like, I don't know what's happening around me, or you feel like people are going to judge you, people are going to reject you. All of these things can be signs, and I can go on and on about this, but I know we are at kind of like we have a time limited time to be on this podcast. But absolutely explore what that looks like for you. The next time you're stressed, look at how you experience stress. Are you responding to an event with anger? Are you responding from a space of like, you know what, I just want to run away from the situation and not deal with it? Are you finding yourself not being able to go to bed at night or stay awake early in the morning or something along those lines? Or are you having a lot of food cravings, or are you feeling like you have lost your appetite? See how your body responds to stress, because once again, stress is a full body reaction. It is not just one thing. It's not just your brain going, I need to find, fight the situation or run away from the situation or freeze up until the situation has passed over. There are a lot of ways that our body is either pausing some of the systems, like our digestive system, where when we are in a survival state, we don't need to eat or digest food. We just need to be in a space where we can run away, right? Like, it's a waste of energy for our body to sit down and spend energy in digesting food. So it is going to pause the digestive system. So you might have a lot of digestive issues if you're stressed out. Or you might find that, your heartbeat is really fast because our body needs to pump oxygen to our hands and legs so that we can run away or fight the situation or freeze up. Or we might have a lot of sore muscles, we might have migraines. We respond to stress with our entire body. And so there are often signs. Once you start looking for it, you can find a lot of them. And they are the starting point of exploration. They are the starting point of, okay, now that I know I'm stressed, what can I do that can help me get out of the stress? What has helped me in the past without me being aware of it? And what are some of the ways that I can relax my body, I can breathe again, whatever that looks like. And there are a bunch of resources that I have on my website. I have like a lot of blogs where almost every article that I've written revolves around making it fun, making it something that isn't this huge Herculean task to get through, to push through, but it is something that is easy to integrate into our life. Like watching your favorite comfort TV show is a great way to manage your stress, because you know what's going to happen next. You know how a particular episode ends, what's going to happen. So you can just sit back and just be in that space and relax. You can hug the people that you love, you can kiss the people you love, and that is a great way to relax. And that is a great way to manage your stress, because it boosts oxytocin, which is the love hormone in our body that automatically helps decrease cortisol, which is the stress hormone. There are
Well,
bunches of
yeah,
techniques in there, but yeah.
because we like our the LinkedIn user is
Hmm.
saying like the oh hello and good morning to
Yeah,
your
I'm
dog.
sorry.
Uh, like the habits, because the person mentions the habits. We develop, like we give in to the bad habits, but you are in the driving seat, and that is the most important thing that you have to, like, you have to think about. You It's always it sometimes it's self-made. I'm not going to make it worse for uh, doing to get more anxiety, but starting to just, as you were saying, to realize, okay, there is something. What can I do? Well, maybe I can go to bed at 11 but not at 3 a.m. Or like, it's, but we do this. And but it is, a, realize that there is something wrong. B, like, talk to Madhurima or whoever. Yes, thank you. And then make plan, or like think about how you can reverse the bad habits. You can, okay, it's the same thing with smoking. It's easy to begin smoking, but it is really hard. Believe me, I've been there, done that. It is really hard to quit smoking because it's all in here. It's all in the brain. So this is, there is something, and people have to, oh, it's half like we are have been speaking for 45 minutes. So thank you, LinkedIn user, for being with us. But is there anything that you want to say? Like, because we have to, I know that we could have, like, as I said to you before we talked about having this chat,
Mhm.
we can talk about this for hours.
Oh, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
is there anything that your website is running underneath? Like,
Mhm.
what is it that you like to want to say to people who are watching this?
Yeah. That's a very beautiful question to end on. I would absolutely say don't fear stress, don't fear burnout. These are very important parts of existence. Burnout happens to ensure that you don't damage yourself further. Stress happens because it wants to ensure that you survive whatever situation. So it is not a big bad thing. And I actually say this to a lot of my clients, and they are often shocked by it. But I am like, you need to know that stress is always going to happen. Working with me is never a conversation about how to not get stressed, because we are evolutionary beings. We are constantly going to try new things. We're constantly going to reach new heights and new levels, especially because I work with multi-passionate, ambitious people. We are constantly going to try new things, and there are going to be new reasons to be stressed about things. So the conversation is never about not getting stressed at all. The conversation revolves around how to ensure that we don't stay in that stressed out space for a really long time. Once again, if you experience stress, deal with that stress. If you can't deal with the thing that is leading you to experience stress in the first place, see how you can ensure that at least internally you are in a space where you can calm down and relax and be in a space where you're like, while I can't control the world, while I can't control the situations happening or the scenarios happening around the world, or the scenarios that's happening right next to me that is affecting those I love or even myself, I can control myself and I can control how I respond to this situation. Take care of yourself. Sleep 8 hours every night if you can, because sleep and stress has such a beautiful connection with each other. And by beautiful, I mean, if you sleep really 8 to 9 hours, you're not going to have a lot of stress in your life. But if you sleep less, you're going to stress more, and the more you stress, the lesser you're going to sleep, and it's a downward spiral. So take care of your basic needs. Eat, hydrate yourself, sleep enough hours in the night. Irrespective of whether it worked earlier or not, sleep, ensure that you're sleeping a lot. And start by exploring. I think exploration is the first part in stress management. I am glad that you're watching this particular show, because that means you're interested in managing your stress, you're interested in taking that leap, which is oftentimes the most difficult thing we can do, is take that leap and ask for support. You're already doing that, so hurrah and congratulations on that. Now the conversation becomes about how do you keep the momentum going, how do you explore yourself, how do you experience stress, understanding yourself at a very individualistic and basic level, and then building from there. I would say that would be my final thing, and feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or on my website. And I would love to support you any way I can on this journey if it feels alive. Yeah.
Well, brilliant. And I'm so grateful that you could jump on, because
Yeah.
every time is the first time, because I had to have 15 minutes of monologue. So I was just like, but I'm still alive. And
Yes.
that is also a challenge, because if you sleep for 8 or 9 hours, the world still goes on, because
Yeah.
you don't have to know everything.
Yeah.
So, Marima, that was a new one. Madhurima, thank you very much for jumping on and being ready and being so green and beautiful. And I just want to point out that you can reach her, you can reach me, whatever, just, and then we can maybe talk to people. The next conversation, inspiring conversation, will be on Thursday, the 23rd of January, where I'm talking to Rab Bassi, and we'll be talking about creating safe spaces for professional growth. So I hope that I will see you. Follow Hands On Coaching on social media, follow Madhurima, and this was a beautiful conversation, and thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. This is really exciting. Really